discipline your child. Let us end corporal punishment.
A message from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
The issue of children going missing can be complex, as these actors depicting real events will show.
Samantha, look how long I look for you. Look how long I call you. Where they are though? I'm tired of your foolishness now. You need. Please remember, assignments are due on Tuesday, and I want everything on Tuesday. Class now dismissed. Samantha, are you okay? Okay. Remember, your assignment is due on Tuesday. Okay.
That's boring to you, man. Alright,
no, man. May I wait for some?
I see already.
Come the girl. Come to you.
My mother beat me same way. Every time I work in a shop. And if I shortchange somebody, I give somebody overchange, she just beat me.
Oh, she wicked there?
Look how she swell up my whole on my neck back.
Jesus, look there. Oh God.
She said I can't do it no more. May I be honest with them, I can't do it no more.
Here what you do. When you go home today, pack a little bag. Go like say I go to school. She can't know which part you just so. Nobody not gonna know, not evil teacher, not gonna know teacher can't know. She probably never miss you. Don't worry about it. Can't stay there.
Blacks, you know more you do something for me.
What are going to be?
Nothing happen.
See you going to suffer.
Blacks, I'm not ready for this.
Me, David, what you worry about?
I'm not ready for this.
So you go on all the while, man. You think good, man.
What you do?
Nothing, man. Yo, Jenna. On the pan. Give me a link now. Yo! What are going, Jenna? What are going, Biggs?
Blacks!
This is the host.
Hi, afternoon.
Children disappear for various reasons. There are some children who run away from home, children who are abducted, children who some people believe are trafficked. There are some children who get lost. Regardless of whatever the reason is, as adults and as a government, we have a responsibility to seek to safeguard children, to protect them. Every single child who goes missing is a child who is in need of care and protection. So as a part of our greater mandate, we do all that we can to recover children who are missing, all that we can to prevent children from going missing, and to provide services to the families of missing children.
Ananda Alert, Help Us Bring Our Children Home, was brought to you by the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
guests, Mr. Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar, National Children's Registry. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dervan. How are you doing?
I am fine, thanks. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Also online, we have Ms. Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead, CPFSA, Children and Family Support. Hello, Ms. Duhenny. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Daryl.
It's a pleasure, and welcome as well to Ms. Paulette Green, Acting ACP, Head of National Intelligence Bureau, JCF. ACP Green, thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malcolm, and good afternoon to your panel.
Thank you very much. Can we get a sense, first of all, Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar of the National Children's Registry, of the status of our missing children issue here in Jamaica? Please unmute, Mr. Thompson. Unmute, please.
Right.
There you are. Go ahead.
I like to talk about the missing children intervention and the situation in Jamaica, because you know what we have been seeing over the years is a steady reduction in the number of children who are reported missing each year. We have seen the numbers trending down. From time to time, we get a little bit, let me say, incensed. The public gets incensed about what is happening with the Ananda alerts that they see going out without realizing that we have actually seen a reduction over the years. Certainly since the COVID-19 pandemic started last year, the number of children who have been reported missing each month has significantly reduced. So last year, I would say we saw the lowest number ever in terms of annual figures of children being reported missing. So the trend seems to be a downward one. Is that it? Down. Can you please repeat for me?
I was just wondering if the trend, if the numbers are still going up, falling, or stabilizing.
Okay, right. So, well,
can you answer after the break, please?
Okay, moment. Sure, I'll do that.
One moment.
Listen me people, and I want to listen to me good. You see, children, they are a joy to the world, and no one should ever try to harm them. Children just want to be playful, they want to be cared and protected. Now, how would you feel if you were a child that was abandoned, left at home, or being abused, beaten, all kind of
we that try get on the laptop and it in here. So
you
me want
to
go back
in a housework and to work like you're a slave, or you're being sent on the road to go look money. Stop it. It is not right. Parents, you have to take up your responsibility. Give the children a chance to become a successful man or woman. Parents, we have to do our role. Come on, no man. A child protection.
It's a special edition of Kids Connect on
a message from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
Once again, the tremendous support of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency in keeping the dialogue going and creating a greater level of awareness and connecting all the key stakeholders so that we get a better understanding of what's happening or not happening, what we need to do or what we need not do, as the case may be. And so we are delighted to have joining us Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar, National Children's Registry, NCR, Ms. Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead, CPFSA Children and Family Support Unit, and Ms. Paulette Green, Acting ACP, Head of National Intelligence Bureau with the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF. And Warren Thompson, before the break, we wanted to get a sense of the trend, the current trends with respect to missing children in Jamaica. Are the numbers going up? Are they coming down? Are they stabilizing? So what are the statistics telling us?
Okay, well, what we've been seeing the numbers going down. When you look at the trend in reports that we receive for missing children from 2009, we got about 1,700 reports for the year, almost 1,800. We climbed up to 2011 where we received 2,126 reports. 2013 it was a similar number, but from 2013 we started seeing a trend where the number of reports received each year was decreasing gradually. Now for 2019, between 2019 and 2020, the number reduced significantly. We lost about, well, I want to say lost, but we had a reduction of about 600 reports. So in terms of children staying home in 2020, we're happy for that. But of course, you know, we're still concerned about the factors that would have, or other things that may be affecting children who would normally run away from home. Since they're in the home now, we are concerned about what they would be experiencing and so on. But the point I'm making though is that we have seen a trend where the number of reports has lessened each year. We are hoping that it will continue, but if it doesn't continue, we're hoping that it will at least plateau and doesn't go back to where it's coming from.
Ms. Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, Children and Family Support Unit. When these children go missing, what happens? Do you have to essentially wait to be notified at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency through the Children and Family Support Unit? Or is it in the cases where the children actually return that you see the need now for an intervention to minimize the risk of that happening again, for example? Just help us to understand how you function in an environment where we have missing children, please. I think the signal froze just now.
The CPFSA.
Sorry, go again, please, from the top. We're just now hearing you, Jean Duhenny. Go ahead, please.
I am so sorry, my internet is so unstable, but I'll try to stay on course. So I was saying, for a child who, prior to going missing, was a client of the CPFSA, it is we would encourage the parents prior to once the child is, we are informed that the child went missing, we would encourage them to make a formal report and so forth, and ask that they notify us when the child returns. For a child who is coming to us for the first time after being missing, then that's where we would have done an assessment and we would start the intervention process. So the child who was a client prior to going missing, it would be a continued support to this family as we continue to work, doing all the necessary interventions and so forth. But unlike that child who was never a client of the CPFSA originally, that child will now be treated as a new client, and we start the process, having gone through an assessment, linking with the resources, etc., and taking it from there.
And acting, sorry, go ahead, Warren Thompson.
Also, if I may jump in, Devon, one of the things that we do when children return or are recovered.
Not hearing you, Mr. Thompson.
You're not hearing me?
No, I'm not. Yes,
right.
Go ahead now.
Okay.
A little better.
So I was saying that one of the things that we do at the Ananda Alert Unit when a child returns home or is recovered, we do an assessment with the family, or we do an interview, let's say. What we have found is that many times, especially in the cases of runaway children, many of them would have experienced or allegedly experienced some form of abuse, or there's a behavioral problem issue. And many times we send those to our investigations unit to be investigated. And from there, they are referred over to Mrs. Dewey for the intervention. So the investigation really is to verify what has been alleged, whether or not the child was abused, and if that is what caused the child.
Ms. Duheny, you might want to shut down one of your devices. We have you on 2 devices, and they're both
we are trying to close one.
Yes.
It's going on and off.
Right. Or if you can at least mute until you're back on with us.
Thank you.
Right. Mute in the meantime, please. Thank you. So then, sorry, Warren Thompson, I'll allow you to complete.
Yes. So I was saying, in many cases, we send those cases to our investigations unit to verify if the allegations of abuse were true, and to see if that was the antecedent for the child running away. And those cases are then sent to Mrs. Duane for an intervention, especially if it's a behavioral problem matter or it's a welfare issue, those kinds of things. So there's a process through which the return cases go for intervention.
Yes. Acting ACP Green, can you give us a sense of where all 3 entities intersect, in a manner of speaking? The National Children's Registry, which is a part of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, which houses the Children and Family Support Unit. At what point should we call the police?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Police's responsibility when a case of missing child is reported is to thoroughly investigate that case. But the investigation will only commence with the initial report from family members or whoever reporting that child missing. When that information comes to the police will ensure that the necessary statements are recorded and the information is shared with Police Emergency Control Center in order for that information to go out on the police radio so that every area, which is areas 1 to 5, and persons on the street working can record that information and start to look for that child. The information that we request sometimes will help the other agencies, like the other persons on the platform, to do their work, but the initial report rests with us because we have to investigate to ensure that that person gets back home safe. That is the first and foremost responsibility of the police, is to ensure the safety and well-being of that child. And therefore, with the safety and well-being of that child, it would basically help us to work with the other agencies in order to ensure that the safety and the well-being of that child is protected. The information that we need from the persons reporting it has to be very clear and specific. For example, one of the starter information that we would ask for is a photograph. And in the past, we have had many reports being investigated, and the picture that we get is for a child who is now 15, for example, and the picture is that of a child 2 years old. That in this case will not be of much help to us because we need something that we can send out on air to ensure that wherever that child is seen is found. The information we get is shared with the other agencies as also other non-governmental organizations. And that is where we all work together to ensure that the safe return of that child is of utmost importance.
Thank you, ACP Green. To the business of working together now, how does the Ananda Alert response work in all of this? Warren Thompson.
All right, so Dervan, as Superintendent Green said, the Ananda Alert system is a partner-based system. So there are a number of stakeholders, the police being perhaps the most primary stakeholder. I'm going to walk you through a process. So the report is to be made at the police station so that an investigation can be initiated by the police. Now, the police will then notify us that this child has been reported missing. And this is, when I say us, I mean at the Ananda Alert unit within the CPFSA. We then issue the poster out there in across social media houses, notifying them that this child has gone missing and we're seeking the public's assistance in locating this child. So that is the, let us say, the alert dissemination aspect of the system. Now, when the child returns home or the child is recovered, that's where the Ananda Alert ensures, or the Ananda Alert Secretariat ensures that other partners come into play. So within the CPFSA, Mrs. Duane's unit, a child abuse investigation needs to take place, or investigations unit. Sometimes we need some support through the Victim Services unit, the Victim Services Division, and they are partner in the system as well, would provide some psychotherapeutic intervention also. We work very closely with the Missing Person Monitoring Unit to ensure that our statistics on missing children are accurate. We work with other partners. Well, Superintendent Green didn't tell you, for example, that when the Ananda Alert is issued, the PICA is alerted, and there is a watch list that the child.
That's the Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency.
Yes.
Tell us some more after the break, please, listeners.
Right.
Thank you so much for making it this special edition of Kids Connect during both sides of the story, Power 106 FM. And we thank the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, for keeping us in the loop. And in particular for this afternoon's discussion, help us bring our children home, a discussion on missing children in Jamaica. We're live on Zoom, we're on YouTube and Facebook. Look for CPFSA on those platforms so that you can connect and ask your questions. Feel free. One moment, please.
Every child deserves protection. All children have the right to be protected. They have the right to survive, to be safe, to belong, to be heard, to receive adequate care, and to grow up in an environment that is protected. As parents and adults, we have the responsibility to ensure that they are fully protected so that they can survive, grow, learn, and develop their fullest potential. Will you help to protect Jamaica's children? Please help to protect all children.
A message from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
Oftentimes, we call our children bad, rude, and even swear at them. Sometimes we get angry and feel like spanking them with belts, iron, and other implements. Corporal punishment causes childhood aggression and other levels of behavioral problems. No child should be spanked as a means of discipline. So please, beg you, try positive disciplining. Talk to your child. Take away privileges, assign chores. These are some of the ways to positively discipline your child. Let us end corporal punishment.
A message from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
You're often the first to know, the first to see, In these challenging times, there is an epidemic of violent crime against women and children. They need you more than ever to act quickly, efficiently, with understanding and special care.
We know you would do what's right, 'cause we all have a
We are counting on you. So please, do your best.
for the children.
Him say it normal. Home alone with him again. I feel so dead inside.
In these challenging times, there is an epidemic of violence against women and children.
Know you would do what's right, 'cause we all have a win this fight.
Child sex abuse. If you see it, hear it, report it. Call 888-PROTECT.
For the children.
Listen, me people, and I want to listen to me good. You see, children, they are a joy to the world.
Check out the
And no
CPFSA
one should ever try to harm them.
YouTube channel
Children just want to be
and
playful.
also their Facebook page. In the meantime, let's continue the discussion. So we have had Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar for the National Children's Registry, outlining the mechanics of Ananda Alert, how the Ananda Alert response works. For the benefit of parents and guardians listening to us right now, what should we as parents and guardians do once a child returns? Let's put that to Ms. Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead, CPFSA's Children and Family Support Unit.
Okay. As was said by
I think you, right, we were getting that feedback a while ago. Go again, please, Ms. Duhenny.
Right, as was said by Acting Commissioner just now, a current photograph of that child should be taken to the police station, ensuring that that information is logged there so the child's picture can be pulled from that platform. As it relates to coming to the CPFSA and our support, we encourage persons to be calm. We know parents are frantic and they would have been anxious, and so we ask them to be calm because, of course, they were anticipating, eager for that child to return home. And so we are asking parents, we encourage parents to ensure that the child access the support of the agency. So they would have spoken with a caseworker. That case would be assigned to a caseworker. The assessment is done, the necessary assessment to see the level of trauma possibly for the child. Is there a need for psychological support? Is there a need for medical attention and so forth? And you would refer them to the relevant agencies. As it relates to internal support, so counseling, we are going to be working with this particular child, having taken all the other factors into consideration, ensuring that those needs are filled. We engage in counseling support. We encourage parents to ensure that those appointments are carried out. We encourage parents to avoid, another thing that we sometimes find that information is going out, posting out, outside via the different mediums. And we ask that you minimize those incidents. We ask also that the parents ensure that you honor those appointments, critical to the process. Once you're given an appointment, whether internally or externally, we ask that you follow through on those appointments in a timely manner, because that is important to the process. We ask that you pay keen attention to your children. So it's also listening, it's also observing, because sometimes we have children who are manifesting with suicidal ideation or so, and so we want you as a parent to be alert to what's happening. Speak honestly, give them time to unwind, give them time to come face to face with what is happening. Don't push too much. Sometimes we push and we can push them over the edge. Ask important questions, but also take time to listen take time to observe. Minimize the ash words, because sometimes we will rehash the trauma and so forth. But we ask parents just to be welcoming, to be there as a source of support. You don't have to have all the answers. Don't try to get all the answers. Seek the intervention, follow through, and ensure that you do your part and seek the relevant support.
Thank you.
Yes,
Warren Thompson.
I just wanted to add something. When a child returns home, it is very, very important that the parents take that child to the police station. The police need to see that child to verify that the child has in fact returned home, and that way we can rule it that that child is no longer missing. You know, I think it was last year, a young lady called me. She said she has graduated from university, and she went missing when she was about 11. And she says when you type her name in, an alert comes up that she's missing when you Google her name. And I kept asking her, did your parents take you to the police station for the police to verify that you have in fact returned home? And she confirmed that that was not done, right? She was distressed because when employers would search for her, they see that she's a missing child, you know? But the police were never able to verify that she was in fact recovered or returned. So that's a very, very, very important, a very important step in the process.
Just to add to that, Mr. Thompson, is that we also have a responsibility when that child returns.
Yes.
We have to notify the Police Emergency Control Center, and we also have to notify the Constabulary Communication Unit.
Right.
That unit is the unit that deals with the media, and we would have to send out media release that this child has returned, and we would have to remove that missing person report from the Police Emergency Control Center because that child has no return. But we are not able to do that unless we physically see that child and prove to ourselves that the child that was reported, the picture that we got of that missing child is in fact the child that has now come before us as being found.
Yes. Thank you very much, Superintendent. Very important.
Sorry, while you're on the floor, so to speak, ACP, can you give us a sense of the current trends? Are there particular trends that you have, that the members of your team have been noticing, which you might want to share with the general public so that we can be forewarned of some of these trends that we need to be mindful of when it comes on to our children going missing, whether before, during, or after that whole ordeal?
And not everything we can share publicly because of the nature of some of these investigations. We are not able to share, but we do notice the trend. The trend we watch is the communities where most of the children are going missing from. And what are some of the issues in those communities that cause that child or children to go missing? When we have that information, we would now enlist the assistance of our community safety and secure branch. That is the branch of the JCF responsible for, neighborhood watch programs, community committees, and going in the communities to deal with all different kind of issues relating to that community. So when we have those sort of trends, we would now advise them and they would do some further intervention, which can further inform the CPFSA and at Mr. Thompson's section as to how they move forward with their data collection and their intervention process.
Right. Thank you very much for that additional information. So now, what is the, I don't know if I'm using the correct term, recovery rate, the safe return rate, for example, Warren Thompson, can you give us a sense of the rate at which we have been able to find the children? Are we finding them when they go missing?
Right. So we have a return/recovery rate usually between 85 and 90% for each year. So we usually say between 8 and 9 out of 10 children who go missing do return home. We are very glad for that. We know that because many of the children who are reported missing are in fact runaways, you know, the voluntary missing cases, we will have a high return rate. We are very concerned though about the 1 out of 10 or the 10 to 15% that never return home, or we only hear about them later on when they become adults and reach out to somebody, or we find that their bodies are found. So we are concerned about that set. We are concerned about the runaways, of course, you know, but we are very, it's disheartening that a country of our size, we have so many children who go missing and are unaccounted for. When you think about the figures, if we have 1,500 children who are reported missing in a year, and we can recover or have 90% returned, we still have about 150 children that we can't account for. And that is too high for a country our size.
Just to add,
sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Malcolm, just to add is that sometimes, and I'm speaking based on investigation, but I can't reveal, but sometimes some of those who remain missing are not exactly missing, but for more reasons than one, they would remain missing. So when we do our investigations and we find out the reasons why, then we would share that information. I'm not saying all who have not returned are not missing. I'm only saying some of those persons who have not returned home could be for more than one reasons I will not be able to disclose publicly, but then we have to also, we take that into consideration and share information with our partner agencies.
Thank you very much for that, ACP. It's very, very true. But just to follow on that, you know, many times, Dervan, when the children return home, and we may put it out in the media that these children who were reported missing have returned, a lot of persons ask, you know, they want to know where they went. Why don't we say where they went or what happened to them? But as ACP said, because a lot of times the cases are sensitive, we can't put that kind of sensitive information out in the public domain. That's one. And two, well, of course, we have to protect the child's privacy. And three, we don't want persons to, for want of a better word, demonize those children who have run away or have behavioral problem issues. Because when they do that, people get desensitized to the missing children issue. And that is what we do not want. Every time a child goes missing, we have to be concerned.
Yes, tell us some more after the break, please. In fact, would like to hear from Jean Duhenny after the break, Acting Team Lead, CPFSA Children and Family Support Unit, with respect to some of the things we can do as parents and guardians to guard against or to minimize the likelihood of our children going missing. One moment, please.
Listen, me people, and I want to listen to me good. You see, children, they are a joy to the world, and no one should ever try to harm them. Children just want to be playful, they want to be cared and protected. Now, how would you feel if you were a child that was abandoned, left at home, or being abused, beaten with all kind of stick and pat cover and all these things? Or you were being asked to go out and do a whole house work and to work like you're a slave, or you're being sent on the road to go look money. Stop it. It is not right. Parents, you have to take up your responsibility. Give the children a chance to become a successful man or woman. Parents, we have to do our role. Come on, no man. A child protection, me say, and that you fear say too. So what you say?
A message from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
You're often the first to know.
Story, 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, and the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, for their support of this special discussion, this special broadcast. Thanks as well to the Optical Zone, providing vision for life, and Block Safe and Vault Limited at 40 Shortwood Road, Kingston 8. We want to encourage those out there listening and watching If you're not there yet, well, on YouTube, you can check out the Child Protection and Family Services Agency YouTube channel, and also Facebook. On Facebook, it's at CPFSAJM, at CPFSAJM. And here's your opportunity to report all known or suspected cases of child abuse. 888-PROTECT, 888-PROTECT. That's 888-776-8328, 888-776-8328. And then there's a WhatsApp number that you can use as well, 876-878-2882, 876-878-2882. And the email address is report@childprotection.gov.jm, report@childprotection.gov.jm. Let's continue this afternoon's special edition of Kids Connect during both sides of the story on Power 106 FM, where the focus is help us bring our children home. It's a discussion on missing children in Jamaica. Our guests, Acting ACP Paulette Green, Head of National Intelligence Bureau with the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Mr. Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar, National Children's Registry, NCR, and Ms. Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead, CPFSA Children and Family Support Unit. And going to the break, Ms. Duhenny, we wanted you to come back after the break and share with us, as parents and guardians, some of the things we need to be mindful of in raising our children, in taking care of those in our care, these children in our care, our charges, to minimize the likelihood of their going missing, insofar as the situation would have been, they would have been in control, in a manner of speaking, to be the ones to go missing as opposed to being taken. But I'm sure there's information you can share with us on both sides.
So critically, there is no one specific way that we can safeguard our children from running. But I just want to share with parents some tips. One, it is critical to maintain an open and honest relationship with your child. Recognizing, importantly, the age and stage of development of our children. A child who is between the age of 5 and age 10, and they conform to those things that parents would normally tell them. Wow. So they would be conformed to those things that parents would normally tell them to do. As they get older, they are coming into their own.
Yeah, so there we go again. Because we have a cloned version of you, Ms. Duhenny. We have two of you, and that is causing a bit of dissonance.
One gives me the video, one gives me the opportunity to speak. So I am having that challenge.
Right.
But are you hearing
as long
me
as
now?
we don't have both of them on at the same time in terms of the audio.
Not at all.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry about that, listeners. So I encourage us, implore parents to foster that relationship. Critically, we need to understand the stage of development of our children. So we tend a lot to say to our parents, our children, we talk, we say, don't do. But we need to actually not just say, but teach them how to. And we also want to maintain relationships. The truth is, sometimes as parents, we do not know our children's friends, which is critical. Our children's friends know a lot about them, know what is happening, when oftentimes parents don't know. And so it's important that we build the relationship with our children's friends from pretty early. Get to know these persons. Establish your own network, both at school, both at home, in the community, church, so you have additional support. Critical to the process too. Some of our children, parents will leave, they don't hear from them until they get back home. It is important to build a routine in your day each day. to communicate, to speak with them, to know what's happening. So they will know that there is that, my mother will check in, my father will check in, somebody will check in. We are asking parents to ensure supervision must be in place once you have children in your care. Once you are the guardian for the lives of children, there must be some measure of supervision. It can't be a situation where I just go, the child is allowed to come, turn key, go about their business. Somebody must be held accountable for the life of that child. Create the atmosphere at home to be a welcoming one. We recognize that we're operating in a time today when our children have alternatives. There are persons outside who are competing for our position. And so it is important that we seek to ensure that the environment at home is welcoming. There is a sense of love, the sense they feel loved, they have a voice. Yes, they are not being criticized for everything or ostracized. Communicate, communicate, communicate. We cannot overemphasize that. Every child needs to be reassured that they have a place. And don't get me wrong, my fellow listeners, we want to know that we are aware some houses do have these ingredients. But again, our children struggle. They are competing in many areas. And so we want to take back. We want to reassure that we have done. We ask also that you get to know the spaces that your children operate in. Where do they go? Who are the persons they engage with? So it is a lot, I know, but we are asking parents to look into these things. Explore.
What about, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm through. You can go ahead, Sir Deborah. You can go ahead.
No, I was just wondering what happens if unknowingly, as an adult, maybe a parent myself, a child ends up in my household, comes home with one of my children, and to say parents give them permission to stay over because they have to go to the country or something. What kind of responsibility do the rest of us have who come in contact, the rest of us who come in contact with a missing child, whether knowingly or unknowingly? ACP Green?
If a child, I'm a mother, and if my child comes home from school with another child, her age group, and I did not receive a call from that parent asking me permission for that child to stay with me, then it becomes a problem. You're not supposed to keep a child in your custody without being properly informed as to why that child is going to stay with you. Because in the event something happens to that child, then you will have to answer some questions as a parent or as the household member who accepts that child without communicating with the parents of that child that came into your household to get some form of consent for that child to stay with you. It can't be, because if something happens, then you will have to answer to the police, because what if that child tells you something that the parent did not say? And that parent goes and report that child missing, and the child was found in your custody, then you are going to answer some questions, and you can be arrested, but the arrest would be based on what the investigation reveals at the end of the day. But it is important, and for the listeners, if you see your child comes home with another child, because they're at school, you need to make some inquiries as to why in the first place. It could be that child wants to get away from home because of probably issues at home, violence, abuse, etc. And they want to just get out of that environment. But you have to make some form of communication with that parent for that child, and then from there you can take it further. But it is important that you communicate, because that child might become a missing child in the police statistics within an hour.
What's the role of the broader community? We know of the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Give us a sense of the expectations. How should communities function? We have about 774 communities we're told by the Social Development Commission in Jamaica. How should communities be functioning to better protect and secure our children?
Information sharing is critical, Mr. Malcolm. As I indicated earlier, we have the Community Safety and Security Branch, and that's the branch of the JCF that interacts regularly with the community. So you share information, and as you said, it takes a village to raise a child. When I was growing up and walking to school every day, the community raised me. So I cannot idle on the road. I have to go home after school. If I stop and I cannot be found, somebody's going to see me and say, go home. These days, I don't see that happening regularly. So information sharing is critical. My colleagues will tell you sometimes they are on the road in the nights working, and they will see a child, maybe 6, 7 years after 8, walking home. It can't be. Where are the parents of that child? So you leave the child who can become hurt by one reason or another, and you are at home. So information sharing is critical. See that child, encourage that child. I have many of them who would come to me for advice. The advice you're giving them must be sound, must be something to empower them, to enlighten them, for them to understand the situation that exists, how they can be hurt, how can they be taken away. So therefore, it is important for the community to unite around the protection of our children, because if they are the future and we don't protect the future at this level, then we will have problems later on. So it's about unity, it's about strength, and it's about commitment to the well-being and safety of our children.
Thank you very much, ACP Green. Warren Thompson, is the work of the registrar, the National Children's Registry, limited to missing children?
No, sir. The Children's Registry is a creature of the Child Care and Protection Act and serves as a central point for the receipt of child abuse reports. So when reports are made here, they're assessed, first of all, to determine what exactly is happening to the child, and from there on referred to specific investigation partners who are required by law to send us an update of the investigation within 90 days. So, and along with that, we serve as a repository for statistics on child abuse reports in Jamaica. So that's the main function. And of course, since 2013, we have had responsibility for the missing children intervention and under alert.
Let's get ready to wrap up this very critical forum organized by the Child Protection and Family Services Agency. Help us bring our children home. A discussion on missing children in Jamaica on this special extended edition of Kids Connect during both sides of the story on Power 106 FM, also on the YouTube and Facebook platforms of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
Every child deserves protection. All children have the right to be protected. They have the right to survive, to be safe, grow up in an environment that is protected. As parents and adults, we have the responsibility to ensure that they are fully protected so that they can survive, grow, learn, and develop their fullest potential. Will you help to protect Jamaica's children? Please help to protect all children.
A message from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
Oftentimes, we call our children bad, rude, and even swear at them. Sometimes we get angry and feel like spanking them with belts, iron, and other implements. Corporal punishment causes childhood aggression and other levels of behavioral problems. No child should be spanked as a means of discipline. So please, beg you, try positive disciplining. Talk to your child. Take away privileges, assign chores. These are some of the ways to positively.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on this special extended edition of Kids Connect during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. A discussion on missing children in Jamaica. Help us bring our children home. Our panel is comprised of Mr. Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar, National Children's Registry, Ms. Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead, Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA Children and Family Support Unit, and Acting ACP Paulette Green, Head of the National Intelligence Bureau at the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF. Panelists, we have a couple of questions coming through. Here is one. What was the lowest number, please, for 2020? It's good to hear. Oh, I don't know if the question was subsequently answered when Mr. Thompson gave us the stats, because then the message, having asked the question, the person having asked the question then said, it's good to hear. But for ease of reference, Warren Thompson, can you share that bit of data?
For 2020, we received 900, and let me tell you, I don't want to tell the wrong figure, 1,066 reports. We received 1,066 reports, which is the lowest we've ever received.
And for March 2020, is that the same period? Because another question here, what are the numbers for March 2020?
So March 2020, we received—
The person says, sorry, go ahead.
For March 2020, we received 80 reports of missing children.
And for 2021?
So we don't have the figure
So far?
we don't have the March figure for 2021 just yet.
Okay, good. And here's another question. How many actual kidnappings would ACP Green, would you be in a position to say?
No, I'm not in possession of that data, sorry.
Right. So those are just some of the questions that have been coming through as this forum has been ensuing. As we get ready to wrap, Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead, CPFSA Children and Family Support Unit. Are there particular initiatives, suggestions that you would want to give to parents on a whole, whether at the community level, let's say parents in each community, some of the ways in which they can collaborate in the interest of the children in these communities?
I want to go back to what Acting Commissioner said just now.
Yes.
The whole matter of the collaborative effort of parents, community folks working together. As was said, the community raised children then. We want to get back to that state where children are not labeled as bad, children are not isolated. Those against that set against this set, we want to see children in its true form as children who are to be protected, to be loved, to be cared for. And we want to just see each child as my child, if we can get back to that place. So what I would want to do for my child, the love I'd want to extend, the care, the safety, all the good things that a child deserves should be extended to another person's child. By extension, the community, all of us in the country, all of us as citizens, all of us have a responsibility. So the church is not different from the neighbor in the community. All of us are called at this point in time, and from ever since, but even more, to ensure that the emphasis is placed on taking care. If it's a matter that a child doesn't have shelter, if a child is not being cared for, a parent left and this child doesn't have a place, it should be the responsibility of that person, that responsible adult, to step in. We can't no longer stay on in the side, by the side to say that I don't care. We are seeing the demise of our children. We are encouraging persons, open the bowels of compassion and reach out. The truth be told is, we ask parents to build relationships, build networks, but again, A CPFSA, the police, the NCR, other institutions cannot do it alone. It's everybody's business. So we ask persons to go the extra mile.
And the first investigation begins with the first report. And the first sharing of information begins with the report that we will share with everybody. As you wrap up, Mr. Malcolm, I just want to say something, and just to add to what Ms. Duhaney said earlier. I remember when I used to take my daughter to school, there's no child that I see on the road in that uniform that I didn't stop to pick her up or pick him up, because they are going the same direction. And picking up that child, you might just save that child. So sometimes the kind of support that we need to lend to the children who look up to us as adults for that sort of care and protection, many of our parents and adults are not doing that for more reasons than one, and we understand. But wherever you can lend a helping hand, it is critical, because as Ms. Duhaney said, children need love. Love will open up their eyes to confide in you and tell you what is happening to them. And from that, the necessary intervention from Mr. Thompson, Ms. Duhaney will take place. And it would reduce the number of cases reported to the police for us to investigate. And we hate when we have to investigate a missing child and the end result is usually death. It's not the nicest result that we look forward to.
ACP Green, acting ACP Green, how do we deal with the one that comes out of left field, so to speak? A trusted family member, friend, colleague, neighbor. Are there ways to detect, whether as children or parents and guardians, when someone is going rogue or has gone rogue or is likely to go rogue, which would then cause us to adjust our guard in such a way that we are on guard?
Ms. Duhaney said it.
Or is just a matter of dealing with it as it comes?
When children try to speak to parents, you need to take the time to listen. Sometimes they are trying to tell you something, and because you fail to listen, it ended up with that child going missing. You need to listen, because the child might be saying something to you about a family member, and the information the child is giving you about that family member is not something that you want to happen to your child. You need to have that sixth sense to identify when something is happening. But if you don't listen, you cannot be on your phone and saying to that child, go over there, I'm talking on the phone. That's where you start losing the trust and the respect that you need to have from that child to open up that communication channel and will tell you just about anything that is happening. If you don't do that, what you said just now, Mr. Malcolm, we will miss. And then in the event something happens, then we are going to blame. We blame a lot. And sometimes when we blame, we miss the point of not listening as a parent or guardian to the information that you should have received so that you can put the necessary intervention and protection in place for your child.
Mr. Malcolm, if I may add.
Sorry, Ms. Duhaney and then Mr. Thompson, please.
Right, just following through with what ACP just said too. Remember that when we talk to our children, we are not only listening with our eyes, with our ears, we need to also look, we need to observe, because our children are those who don't speak. They don't speak volume, but verbally, but their body language is saying so much. So we need to be very keen to that. Also on the point where it comes to those persons within our household, trusted persons in the household who are abusing our children, or, we are called as parents to be vigilant. To be vigilant, not just to be providers, but to walk our homes, be the detectives in our homes, get to know what is happening, because right under our nose, we have seen that. And oftentimes we missed it. So whatever time you have, that few minutes you may have within your household, use it to have conversation and to get to know the things that you would not normally be privy to.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes, Mrs. Duhaney touched on it, because I really was going to say that invariably, the child abductors and child abusers are persons who are close to the child and are known by the child.
Yes.
Very rarely we have strangers who are the offenders. But I will say though, just to piggyback on some of what I said earlier, one of the things that we can do is pay very close attention to the children who are in our circle, those who are in our sphere. So the friends of your own children, the children who are in your youth group at church, children who are in your class if you're a teacher, pay attention to them and know how they behave. So that if there's a change in behavior, because a behavior change is often indicative of something, if there's a change in behavior and you're suspicious about it, you can feel free to investigate, to talk to the child. Maybe the child is comfortable enough to open up to you.
Yes.
And if you're still suspicious, make a report.
Simple.
Make a report.
Exactly. And we will take it from there from an investigative point of view.
Right.
A couple more questions as we get ready to wrap. This person says, I used to share missing children posts, but as of about 3 weeks ago, I stopped sharing because I realized that since about 2 to 3 weeks ago, most of the children returned home. So not if a child is really missing, we don't know if we should really share the missing post. So that sounds like being between what, a pillar and a post or something like that. In terms of having somebody sends me a picture to say this child is missing or this person is missing, do I send it on, or is there a way to verify that this has been reported to the police and the police have been circulating this particular picture? ACP or Mr. Thompson?
Well, I was going to recommend, because I mean, I see it all the time, persons sending all kinds of homemade posters about children who are allegedly missing. But I recommend that persons rely on the authorities. So if it's a JCF poster or a Child Protection and Family Services Agency poster, then you can verify that this is a child who is really missing and a report has been made and an alert has been issued. So those are the ones you send around, circulate those,
yes.
Right? And when the child returns, we usually issue something to the press to say, and we probably put it on our social media as well, that these children have returned. So when you check that, you can verify that these are children who were once missing and have now returned. If you don't see a return statement, then you know the child is still missing.
And that is why it is important for the parents, guardian, or whoever reported that missing person, missing child, should report it to the police, because the police has a duty to route that information to the various stakeholders like Mr. Thompson and Ms. Duhaney, and to the Constabulary Communications Unit. So that report will be sent out to say this child who was reported missing has now returned.
Yes.
We're going to definitely wrap after the break. Please, panelists, think of a final sentence that you'd like to share with the world listening and watching right now, and then we'll take those sentences after the break and wrap.
You see, children, they are a joy to the world, and no one should ever try to harm them. Children just want to be playful, they want to be cared and protected. Now, how would you feel if you were a child that was abandoned, left at home, or being abused, beaten with all kind of stick and pat cover and all these things? Or you were being asked to go out and do a little whole house work and to work like you a slave, or you're being sent on the road to go look money. Stop it. It is not right. Parents, you have to take up your responsibility. Give the children a chance to become a successful man or woman. Parents, we have to do our role. Come on, no man. A child protection, me say, and that you fear say too. So what you say?
A message from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA.
Every child deserves protection. All children have the right to be protected. They have the right to survive, to be safe, to belong. to be heard, to receive adequate care, and to grow up in an environment that is protected. As parents and adults, we have the responsibility to ensure that they are fully protected so that they can survive.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on this special extended edition of Kids Connect during both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. Let's remind you to report all known or suspected cases of child abuse by calling 888-PROTECT. 888-PROTECT. That's 888-776-8328. 888-776-8328. There's a WhatsApp number as well, 876-878-2882. 876-878-2882. Email report@childprotection.gov.jm. report@childprotection.gov.jm, and continue to follow the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, on Facebook as well as YouTube. As we get ready to wrap this afternoon's special extended edition of Kids Connect, Help Us Bring Our Children Home, a discussion on missing children in Jamaica. Our panelists: Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police, Head of the National Intelligence Bureau with the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, Ms. Paulette Green. Ms. Jean Duheny is Acting Team Lead for the Child Protection and Family Services Agency's Children and Family Support Unit, and Mr. Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar, National Children's Registry. We have been trying to wrap, but more messages coming in, but we definitely have to wrap in this segment. We did see a report or a story in the Gleaner. Was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday, of a mother clearly saying that she knows that the child would have been, well, I don't want to misquote her, but has a pretty good idea. And I'm just wondering, based on how this person has sent this message, are children who run away from home really missing? So where we have an instance where a mother is saying clearly, or sort of giving an idea of knowing the likely, even because she spoke about having clues of the daughter wanting her to buy certain close-fitting outfits and so on, and her not being up to it or into it. So missing those signs, and then the child goes missing. What kind of advice can we give to parents and guardians in that regard? Who wants to take that one?
I just want to say something before Mr. Thompson does, because he would have more information based on his line of work. But the missing person policy of the JCF that gives clear guidance and directives to members of the force when a case of missing person is reported to them, specified what should be done when you have exhausted all that the child can now be classified as missing. And it clearly states when the child is missing from his or her place of abode, employment, without reasonable communication for an extended period of time, after you have checked all the different areas where you know the child will be, then that child can be considered missing. So if for any reason, based on what you have just said, Mr. Malcolm, this would fall in the category of disagreement with parent as one of the reasons why that child has left the home. But you know that child is with an aunt, with a friend, and all of that. So you need to make all those checks and balances. And when you do that, then you can declare that the child is not missing, but simply not at home. So if you know where the child is and you have physically seen the child, it simply means that information would not be compliant with what the policy said as to how you classify a child going missing. Mr. Thompson,
No, I just wanted to say, I mean, a missing child is a child whose whereabouts really cannot be accounted for.
Exactly.
You can't account for the child's whereabouts. That's a missing child.
Great. All right, so
if mother has,
yes, Mr. Henny.
So based on what you have said, mother has some idea of the possible places that this child would go. She needs to share that with the police so that they could also. So I would expect her to do her own checks and where she's falling short or not being able to go, because some spaces, parents will tell you that they can't go to those places. She asks the police for some support.
You're ready and willing to give that assistance to ensure the safe return of that child.
Thank you very much. So as we wrap, ladies and gentlemen, an opportunity to leave a lasting lesson or a lasting message with our audience, especially parents and guardians, and indeed our children. The choice is yours as to who goes first.
All right, I'll go first. I just want to remind the public, one, you don't have to wait to make a child abuse report. Once you can't account for that child's location, report it. You don't have to wait 24 hours. The other thing is, I just want to re-emphasize or reiterate the point that all of us should take responsibility for all our children. A child is a vulnerable person, and it's easy for a child to find themselves in need of care and protection. So we need the entire community, everybody, to join us, to partner with us, to ensure that, one, if the child goes missing, we bring them home, and two, to prevent them from going missing in the first place. If you know something, if you suspect something, report it. If you see a child who was reported missing, let us know. Give us some advice, some tips rather, to help us locate that child. And I'll stop there for now. Well, before you go, ACP, I'll say, know your child. It's very, very important. Know your child.
You just took the words out of my mouth, because that's exactly what I was about to say. Know your child. Yes. Know the behavior of your child. Understand the beliefs of that child. Remember, that child is socializing with people, other children who are cultured different. So you need to understand and remember that children are the future, and treat each child as if that child is yours. You can't get up and say, it's not my child, so I don't care. And when that child becomes a statistics, we all speak and we have all the different criticism about the various agencies responsible for investigation. We need to ensure that we treat that child as our own, and I will reiterate what Mr. Thompson said. There is no 24-hour waiting period to report a child or anybody for that matter missing. As long as the information you have now would suggest that that child or whoever is missing, you need to proceed to the nearest police station. If you are in Portland and you are from Westmoreland and you get a call from Westmoreland from a family member that the child did not come home, you head to the nearest station in Portland and make that report, and the communication between the different command teams in Portland and Westmoreland will decide how this investigation progresses. So do not hesitate. The first 24 hours, which we call in investigation, the golden hours, very, very critical. And that is where when we will have to pull on all the resources, all the community support, all our stakeholders to ensure the safe recovery of that missing child.
Thank you very much, ACP Green. Last word to Ms. Duhenny as we get ready to wrap. Ms. Duhenny?
Yes, Sir Derval. Sorry
Please
about that.
Go ahead.
Children are precious gems from God. They are our future leader. Therefore, as the CPFSA and other stakeholders seek to protect our children, to empower families, and to secure the future, I call on every well-thinking Jamaican today to listen to our children, seek to provide love and nurturing and the support that they need. And remember that we are all accountable persons for the lives of our nation's children.
Well said. We can't thank you enough, panelists, for sharing your words of wisdom and your wealth of experience in your respective areas. Warren Thompson, Deputy Registrar, National Children's Registry. There's Jean Duhenny, Acting Team Lead, CPFSA Children and Family Support Unit, and Acting ACP Paulette Green, Head of the National Intelligence Bureau with the JCF. Thank you so much, and all the very best.
Have a good one, Devon.
Thank you for having me, and to the rest of
Thank you too,
officers. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all so much. And thanks to those who have been watching and listening all over the globe. And very special thanks, naturally, to the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, the CPFSA, for supporting this very feature that they conceptualized, Kids Connect, during both sides of the story. Thanks to the Optical Zone, providing vision for life, and Lock Safe and Vault Limited, 40 Shortwood Road, Kingston 8. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Tuesday, the 20th of April, 2021, on a day when the entire RGR Gleaner Communications Group and those at home and abroad mourn the passing of Michael Sharp. Here's Ronan Keating to take us out this afternoon. This is your song, Michael Sharp.
Him again.
Rest in peace.
I feel so dead inside.
In these challenging times, there is an epidemic of violence against women and children.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Cause we all have a win this fight.
Child sex abuse. If you see it, hear it, report it. Call 888-PROTECT.
For the children.